are going to start with the topic from a grammar, that are verbs. So we already know what are the verbs are. So verbs are action words or the doing word. Whatever work we do, that is the action. So whatever word we use to describe our actions are called the verbs. So further, if we talk about the different kinds of verbs as per the change in numbers and person, so we have two categories of verbs. First is finite verb and the other is non-finite verb. So we will talk about in detail about these two verbs. So first of all, we know that what are finite and non-finite verb. So finite verb, as you know, are the verbs, okay, they are depending on the number of person we are talking about, or whether they are singular or plural, what is our subject, whether it is first person, second person, third person, and the subject, like we are talking about whom we are talking about, and the tense. It is also determining the tense as well. So like I say that he plays cricket, so he plays, according to he we add or we make changes into plays, so it becomes plays. Okay, so if we say they, so they play cricket, so according to the subject we are using, so it will become, the verb will become play. So infinite verb, so the effect of the person, number, subject, or we can say tense, is seen on the verb, that is the main verb. So in simple language, if you say that finite verbs are the verbs which are determined by the number of person or tense, or we can call them the main verbs. Fine. So further you see that a verb which is limited by the number of the person or its subject and also on the sense of the subject. So the form of verb depends on its subject, definitely. So whether it is plural, so we will have the plural verb. If the subject is plural, like they is plural, we'll have the plural verb, that is play. If the subject is singular, then we have the singular verb, that is again he plays, you are playing. So it is changing according to the tense. So we must know the change of tense also takes place when we talk about finite verbs. So actually, in other sense, you can say that they are the main verbs and they change according to the plural, singular, or the tense form. Fine. Or the person we are talking about, whether we are talking about the first person, second person, or the third person. If I go back, you can see that the non-finite verbs, they do not get affected by the person, number, subject, or place. So they do not get affected by, or they do not depend on all these like the finite verb do. So further, if we talk about these verbs, okay, so they are further divided into different categories. So you see that non-finite verbs do not change their form even when the person or the number of the subject changes, not on the tense of the structure. So you see that they want to eat something delicious, to eat. So main verb is want, and we are talking about to eat. So to eat is the finite verb because it is not affected by the tense or the subject we have used here. So in the same sense, in the second sentence again, to eat is repeated and she wants. So want here changes into wants because we are talking about a singular subject. So to eat is also not affected by the change of the tense or the change of the verb form. So this is the main verb and this is the finite verb we are talking about. So you can further read all the example to clear your doubts. So moving back, I'll further tell you what are the different categories that we will be reading under these verbs. So finite verb, as already mentioned, is the main verb in a sentence, but here we will be discussing about non-finite verb in detail. So non-finite verb is something which is not defined by it is not defined, okay. So it is not defined by any number or any tense. So they are further divided into three categories. They are infinitives, they are gerund, they are participles. Okay, so we'll talk about infinitive. Infinitives have three kinds: simple infinitives, gerund infinitives, and bare infinitives. Okay, so gerund itself is the one kind and it doesn't have any kind further. And if we talk about participles, participle further has three kinds of participles. Okay, so what are the three kinds? You have present participle, you have past participle, and you have perfect participle. Further we will talk about these in details. Moving further, first of all we will discuss about the different kind of non-finite verbs. Okay, so non-finite verbs that already mentioned have three major kinds. First is the infinitive, second is the gerund, and third is the participle. So if they are not the main verbs, you might be thinking, if they are not the main verbs, what do they work as? So they have different functions to play in a sentence, or they modify the sentence accordingly, and we will further see how they modify it. Okay, firstly we'll talk about the infinitives, then gerund, and then we will move on to participles. So the next we will talk about infinitives, as I said. So infinitives, what are infinitives? We know infinitives of the non-finite verbs. They are generally preceded by to, like to eat, to go, to. So they are generally preceded by to. So is a verb that is used like noun, adjective, or adverb. So what does it function as? That is the main important thing that you remember, that it can be further functioning as noun, it can be further functioning as adjective or an adverb. So it has three functions. So accordingly it can be used in a sentence to modify the different verb forms. Okay, so whether the infinitive will be working as a noun in a sentence, or an adjective in a sentence, or an adverb in a sentence. So you must remember these things. So further, infinitives are of two types, like I said that earlier. They are simple, and sometimes they are of gerundial nature too. So what are they? So when infinitive, like we are talking about the functions of the infinitive, when they are used as noun, they are called simple infinitives. But when they used as an adjective or an adverb, they are called as gerundial infinitives. Hope this much is clear. When, repeating again, when we use them as noun, they are simple infinitives, and when you are using them as adjective and as adverb, they are called gerundial infinitives. Fine. So this is about the different further kinds of infinitives, simple and gerundial. So simple infinitives, they sometimes, as I know, or I have told you, that they are the nouns. They are functioning as a noun. So noun can be a subject, noun can be an object, or noun can be a complement to the verb. Fine. So examples are already given, like when we use using is as a subject, so you can say that to read is a good habit. Okay, when you are using it as a subject, you can say that it is a good habit to read. If I'll reverse this structure, if we read the example given here, I like to play, he likes to read. So to play and to read becomes the object of the sentence. So they are also functioning as noun in a sentence. If we are talking about object is always a noun in a sentence or a pronoun, but here they are playing the function of a noun. So as complement to verb, so sometimes they are complementing the verb as well, like is to swim. So is the main verb, and to swim is complementing is here. Fine. Hope this is clear to you. So again, in the second example, the intention is to sing. Again, to sing is complementing is in this sentence. Moving further, like we can talk about the infinitives are sometimes used with the words to and enough also. So he is too weak to move. To move again is working as a infinitive here, or she is old enough to get married. So old enough to get married, to get is again the infinitive. Hope this much is clear. Moving next, use infinitives with dummy it. Sometimes we just frame a sentence with it, and like we say, that is a duty to respect, it is a duty to follow the rules, it is difficult to live without pure water, it is illegal to detain a woman in the night, it is your duty to follow the discipline in school. So these kind of sentences generally take the to infinitive here. Fine. So moving next, use of infinitive with WH word, or you can say that with the question words. Okay, so first example, do not what to say, where to go, whom to call, or how to swim. So these all are the question words, and you can use to plus verb form, that is the infinitive, in these kinds of sentences over there. Hope this much is clear to you. Moving further, we will talk about gerundal infinitive. Like we have just discussed that gerundal infinitives are working or functioning as adjective or an adverb. So their function in a sentence will be different from a noun. Like noun is further divided into subject, or you can say the complement of the verb, but here you see that these words or these infinitives, like to live, eat, to live, so it is modifying eat. The word which is modifies the verb is called the adverb. So the word which adds something to the verb is called adverb. You must remember this. Fine. So this wine is pleasant to drink. So pleasant to drink, so it's again describing the quality, so it is modifying something which is noun. So when something is describing a noun, so it becomes an adjective. So when you are describing a noun, it becomes an adjective. So to drink here is describing the noun pleasant, so it's become an adjective here. So hope this is clear. When these infinitives are working as an adjective or an adverb, they are called gerundal infinitives. Moving further, so there are some bare infinitives also, which or where we cannot use or we need not use to with them. So we can simply omit to in that case. Okay, so many of the you have read about modal verbs, or you can call them auxiliary verbs. They do not take to with the verb, base form of the verb, that is the first form of the verb. They do not take it. So we can say that we can omit to in that case, and that's why they're called bare infinitives. Hope this is clear to you. So certain examples are also given, like I should write. I cannot say that I should to write, that will be an incorrect sentence. So hope this much is clear. Moving further, so there are certain instances where we are not using to, like in active voice kind of sentences. I heard her sing, I watch her go. We cannot say that I heard her to sing, I watch her to go. That will be an incorrect structure. So further, to is not used after let. When we use let in a sentence, let us go, let us wait, let them play, let us go out, let him come, let all of them play. So in these kinds of sentences we also do not use to, or we do not need to use to. Fine. So moving next, to is also not used in negative and interrogative with need and dare. So whenever you frame any sentence with need and dare, like I need not go out or I need go out, so here again you are not using to with the verb. For example, go, or again in the second sentence with the dare you act. So we cannot say that dare you to act, that will be an incorrect form of a sentence. So hope this much is clear. We do not use them with active voice kind of sentences. We do not use them with the let, where you using let in a sentence. also you have to use the bare infinitive, and if you are using need or dare in a sentence, you also will not be using to in a sentence with the verb. Fine. So hope this is clear. Moving next. So now what will you be thinking, what is the next? So next is definitely the second kind that we're talking about, that is the gerund. So gerund, if we talk about gerund, so gerund is the ing form of the verb, so you must know. Fine. So like calling, sitting, jumping, playing, so they all are the gerunds. But when they are called gerund, you must be surprised to know when they are used as nouns, they are called gerunds. So when they are functioning as noun, when ing form of the verb is functioning as noun, we can call them gerund. A certain example is given. Running is good way to keep fit. So running here is ing form of the run is used here as a noun. Again, you can use as an object or the complement of the verb. Same in the case of infinitive, where you were using noun in three forms, like as subject, as object, and as the complement of the verb. Fine. So gerund has only one specific task to play in a sentence, that it is functioning as a noun in a sentence. And sometimes we also call it as a verbal noun, because it is made out of noun, or the basic structure is noun, so we can call it a basic structure is verb, so we can call it a verbal noun. So further, we'll be talking about participles. So participles, as already discussed, has three kinds. Okay, so participles are of three types. They are present, past, and perfect. So we have present participles, past participles, and perfect participles. Moving further, so like I said, present, past, and perfect, there are three kinds. So now you need to understand is participles, but the participles are functioning as an adjective in a sentence. That is very important. Or sometimes you call them a verbal adjective. Okay, so because the basic structure is verb, like the verbal nouns and verbal adjectives. So here, just to recapitulate the previous one, infinitives can be functioning as nouns, adverbs, or adjectives. Gerund must be functioning as a noun, and here participles must be functioning as an adjective. So hope this much is clear. Moving next, so first kind under participle is the present participle, that is again the ing form of the verb, but it is definitely not working as a noun, it is working as an adjective in a sentence. Like I met a girl carrying a basket. So girl carrying basket, this is describing the girl. So tiring journey, it is describing the journey was tiring. So again, man thinking, so thinking man, so this will be again describing the word man. So you must be knowing what is the difference between present participles and the gerund. Gerund are working as noun, but the present participles are functioning as an adjective in a sentence. Further, past participles. So when you talk about past participles, they are the third form of the verb, or you can say that the V3, third form of the verb. Although this is the third form of the verb, but it doesn't function as a verb, but it functions as an adjective. Like the present participle is functioning as an adjective, past participle again will be functioning as an adjective. For example, she looks tired, the tired word is describing she, and again the candidate selected, the selected candidate we are talking about, driven by hunger, driven hunger we are describing. Then burnt, so house, we are talking about the burnt house. Okay, so written complaint, we are talking about the written complaint. So written is describing the complaint, burnt is describing the house, and driven is describing the hunger, and selecting is describing the candidate, and again the tired is describing the girl or her looks. So we can say that they are functioning as adjectives in these all sentences. Hope this much is clear. Further, we have perfect participles. So perfect participles are further divided into two categories, in active form and in passive form. Fine. So you can follow two rules for this. For active you have different rule, and for passive you would further have different rule, like the given here. So the participles which indicate the ending of a task, after that the start of a new task, are perfect participle. So whenever we talk about perfect participle, one task is being ended and the second task is started. So two rules, like in active and passive, having plus past participle and having been plus past participle. So two rules will be followed. In active sentence you can use having plus past participle, that is the third form of the verb, and in passive case you can talk about having been plus third form of the verb, that is the past participle. So further examples are given. Having finished my work, I went to the market. So having passed the examination, he prepared the interview. Having completed his project, he went for picnic. So you even can say that having been completed his project, he went to the picnic. Fine. So these are the two further participles, perfect participle. I hope you have understood it very well.